Welcome back to the Best Movie channel. Today, we will show you a film titled Symbol, released in 2009. Movie starts with a white, empty room with no windows or doors and no visible ceiling where a Japanese man in very colorful pajamas awakens. He moves closer to one of the walls to take a closer look and discovers a strange protrusion, a bulge that resembles a male part. After poking it a couple of times, he presses the tip, which causes hundreds of giggling baby angels to come out of the floor and walls, staying there only for a couple of seconds before they go back the way they come. One thing they leave behind, however, now all their members are sticking out of the wall and floor. This is the phase known as learning. As he sniffs the finger he used to touch the weirdly shaped button, the man screams in fear, crying out and begging for help from whoever may be around, to no avail. He decides to start pressing the various buttons to see what happens, and every time he does, a random object falls into the room, from a small toothbrush to a big vase. By pressing the same button again, he is given the same thing, and that's how his testing of this concept on one particular button gives him a big pile of chopsticks. His amusement is short-lived. However, when he presses the button next to the chopstick, a small cart emerges from the wall and hits him on the legs. The next button he presses after crying out in pain transforms into a butt, which passes gas on his face. Hours later, the man has accumulated a massive variety of random objects in the room, and when he throws the ball at the wall, it presses a button that gifts him sushi. This excites him since he's been getting hungry, but he realizes he's missing soy sauce. He continually hits one of the buttons until a large amount of sushi is placed before him, but there is still no sauce. He asks his captors for some, but as usual, he receives no response. Giving up, the man proceeds to eat the sushi, which he finds rather delicious, and once he's finished the last piece, he presses the button for more, getting furious when a bottle of soy sauce finally shows up. After angrily pushing the bottle out of the way, he presses a different button and receives a pair of old-school 3D glasses. When he puts them on, he sees a baby angel pointing at his member, and the man gets happy because he thinks he may have found the answer. However, after pressing that particular button, he receives a countdown, and a giant butt appears from above to pass gas on top of him. Some hours later, he's read 5 volumes of a manga that he finds entertaining, but when he presses a button to get the 6th, he receives the 7th instead. Frustrated, he starts trying other buttons, which give him 8 and 9 but still no 6. The last button he tries, though, has an essential surprise for him. It opens a wall section that hides a door behind it. The man celebrates this discovery, but in his excitement, he loses track of which button is the one that opens the exit. He tries one randomly and shockingly sees an African tribesman run from wall to wall. The next one makes water fall on his head. The third one turns out to be the one he needs, and as soon as the border opens, he runs to it, only to see it close to his face. His second try ends the same way, and he realizes that the door stays open as long as the member tip is down, so he starts trying different ways to achieve it. First, he goes for a runner position, pressing it with his foot. Next, he hits it with a fly swatter from as far as possible, hoping the distance will make a difference in his running time. None of these work, and neither do pulling it with a jumping rope or hitting it with the air sent by a fan. He plans to get on the cart and push it after pressing the button, but after a few tries, he accepts he can't control it. He needs to find a way to keep the button tipped down. He puts the huge vase on top of it, but the button sticks back up again, so the man concludes that he needs to fill it to make it heavier. First, he tries the water button, but it's pointless. No matter how hard he tries to redirect the water, it only falls on him and nowhere else. His next attempt involves filling the vase with sushi, but it becomes so heavy he can't even pick it up. The neck of the vase is also too narrow for his hand to go through, so the man has no choice but to use chopsticks and remove a bunch of sushi piece by piece. Moments later, once he's released enough, he barely picks up the vase, so he does that and takes it closer to the buttons. When he gets there, he finds himself having to put down the vase on the floor because he has lost which button it was again, and when he tries one, the African tribesman comes out and accidentally bumps into the base, causing it to crack and break in half. This sends the man over the edge, who, as he freaks out and yells non-stop, finds the right button and begins covering it with sushi. This doesn't work either, and the little member pops up among the rice. Then the man tries covering the button with tape, followed by tape plus a steel plate, but nothing works. After taking some painkillers to deal with the pain caused by the door, every time it hits him on his back and a nap, the man wants to wash his teeth, so he presses a button to get water. It was the wrong button, though, and this one reveals a rope falling from the ceiling. This instantly improves his mood because it gives him an idea for a new plan. He opens the door, then uses the rope to swing himself across the room and make it before it closes. Sadly, when he tries to open the door behind the fake wall, he discovers it's locked. He returns to the room just in time before the door closes, although it manages to hit him on his way out anyway, and in frustration, he kicks the wall, activating one of the buttons and revealing the key floating in the middle of the room. As it happens with the door, though, it goes away when the button perks out again, so the man must find a way to keep both the key in the room and the door open. First, however, he needs to find the button again because he got distracted and lost it. By observing more or less where his foot would have landed when he kicked the wall, he chooses a button, only to get a dog coming out of the wall to bark at him. Same happens with the following button, but luckily, the third try is successful. While keeping his eyes and a pointing hand at the controller, the man walks backward and grabs a piece of sushi fish that he takes back to the wall to mark the right button with. When he presses it, however, the dog comes out again. This time, he finds the button faster and proceeds with his plan. He makes the rope appear and swings on it to reach the different buttons, but it is still enough. As he falls to the floor, he sees a plunger he had gotten from one of the many buttons and gets an idea of how to solve his little issue. He can use the plunger to touch the wall and push himself farther. After one failed attempt, the plan goes smoothly, and the combination of swinging on the rope and pushing himself with the plunger allows him to press the button key, grab the key, press the door button, and reach the door before it closes. He wastes no time and inserts the key in the lock, quickly turning it, but when he tries to open the door, he finds a nasty surprise. It also has a separate lock on the top that requires 3 numbers to open it. The man rushes out, getting hit by the door as it closes, and in frustration, he throws the plunger at the opposite wall, activating the button that releases the African tribesman. As he watches him walk by, he realizes something. 3 numbers are painted on his forehead, which must be the combination he needs. Since the time behind the door is limited, the man goes through the process of swinging on the rope and jumping deal 3 times, 1 for each number to be put in. The 3rd time, he stays there and opens the door, which is a bit stuck, and he has to push extra hard to open it. When he finally manages to do so, the wall behind him closes, leaving him trapped and without enough room to finish opening the door. Devastated, the man sits on the floor and starts crying, remembering all his fun with the objects he had gotten from the buttons. He had been locked there too, but at least he had room to move and entertainment, and now he realizes he didn't appreciate what he had while he could. Suddenly, he feels a breeze on his face coming from the left wall. As soon as he touches it, he finds a crack that indicates it's a fake. He wastes no time and pushes the panel open before running out of there, soon reaching a mysterious hallway floating in a pitch-black area. It feels like he spends an eternity running toward an exit, and when he finally makes it to a room, his hair is longer, and the colors of his pajamas have faded. This room is also empty, and the door he uses closes as soon as he enters, but instead of baby angels, there are adult ones, who also disappear into the wall and only leave out their members to be used as buttons. This is the phase known as practice. Meanwhile, in a city in Mexico, little Antonio's family worries because the father, a wrestler known as Escargot Man, behaves more taciturnly than usual. His wife thinks it may be because this next opponent is much younger than him, but the grandfather points out that experience matters, not youth. Escargot Man is picked up by his daughter sister Karen on her truck, and she drives him to the wrestling ring so he can start getting ready early, which includes changing clothes and praying to the Virgin. At school, Antonio is being bullied by his classmates for betting on Escargot Man, calling him a weak loser. As the match approaches, Sister Karen retakes her van and picks up Antonio and their grandfather to take them to see Escargot Man in action. Karen doesn't stay, though, and Antonio and his grandfather find some of the last seats for themselves right before the show begins. The first team that enters the ring is the Northern Tough Ones, formed by Super Demon and Tequila Joe. Then Escargot Man and his partner Silver Eagle come in under the team name Kiss Me A Lot. Silver Eagle is the first to fight for his team with a brilliant beginning. Still, He's soon overpowered when the Northern Tough Ones fight him together instead of on one. They keep gesturing at Escargot Man, asking him to join the fight, but he refuses until Silver Eagle pulls a trick to make Super Demon and Tequila Joe hit each other, allowing him to escape. Escargot Man is quickly overpowered as well. But just when his opponent is about to hit him with a chair, the man in the mysterious room presses a member button and causes Escargot Man to magically extend his neck and knock out both opponents with a hit to his head. In the room, nothing happens, which calls the man's attention, so he keeps pressing the same button, causing Escargot Man to knock out Silver Eagle, the referee, Antonio, and even the bell. Seeing no results, the man starts trying out different buttons. One causes the singer of a metal band to breathe fire above his audience during a concert in Los Angeles. The other makes a Russian magician fail his trick when he tries to make his assistant disappear, and the third one makes a man in China bark at his dogs. The man is about to give up when he sees some light coming from above and notices that, unlike the last room, there is no ceiling, and he can see the angels flying around in the distance. He decides to try something completely new this time. Instead of pressing the member buttons, he will use them to climb the walls. It works, and every time he grabs a button with his hands or steps on it with his feet, something unique on Earth happens, from flowers blossoming to an elephant dying. The higher he goes, the more complex the effects become. It's not only nature anymore, there is also humanity and the little and the big things, like a toaster and landing on the moon. By the time he reaches the top, the man's hair and beard have grown long, and he doesn't need to hold onto the wall anymore. Now, he can float as well, just like the angels, and using all his experience gained from the training in the previous rooms, he embraces his role of God and begins choosing humanity's biggest hits on purpose instead of randomly pushing buttons. By the time he's done, he's surrounded by feathers instead of walls and enters a glowing portal that takes him to the last room. This one has the continents on its walls and a vast member button that the man is about to press. This is the phase known as future. And here movies end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.